Hello, Crime Stoppers. Shout out to everybody I'm great. Thank you for all the support. I'm overwhelmed. Um, I'm getting emails. I'm making all kinds of interesting YouTube friends. People are sending me interesting information all the time. Thanks. I try to get to most of it. Um, Again, the math. Now, don't go like my Facebook page, Crouton Ramon's House of Math. Don't go like that if you don't have young kids. Right? If you don't just go like that because if you're a young single guy or so I don't need. I want what I'm looking for a target market, and that's people that want to teach their children math or people that have young children, and we can ease you into understanding that you can teach your kids mathematics. Um, and you can take a look. If you find Crouton Ramon on the internet, there's only one Crouton Ramon. It is unique. There's tons of videos and all kinds of information about math. And again, math leads to critical thinking skills, and this is the point of this video. If you have critical thinking skills, you can see that the mainstream media story is just a story. It's a lie. It's a lie. What they're trying to tell you is that, take a look at this video here that says, long line of Ron Paul supporters at Cal State Fullerton on 5/2, right, May 2nd, 2012. Okay, it's an 8-minute video. I suggest you watch it all the way to the end, just so you can see how long this line is, and look at the people in the line. Right? Look at all these people, young and old, black and white, Christian, Muslim, you name it. There is every kind of person standing in that line, and that's just Cal State Fullerton. They're everywhere. Every time he shows up now, he's filling arenas, he's filling stadiums, thousands of people are showing up for Ron Paul. Thousands of people are not showing up for Romney. These people are getting their votes stolen from them. The mainstream media lie is they will stand in line like this. They will stand outside on the sidewalk in the rain, in the sun, it doesn't matter, rain or shine. They stand out there for however long it takes so they can get a seat, so they can listen to this man speak in person, but they won't go vote. They won't show up when it comes time to vote. Right? That Romney is that all Romney supporters. It's the exact opposite with the Romney supporters. Those guys will not show up to hear him speak. He can't put 1,000 people in a room, but all the Romney supporters go down and vote because they're more sophisticated. They're more in the game. They're more I don't know what the hell kind of excuses they make. But the Ron Paul people, you can see the organizers there getting people to vote, getting people to register Republican if they need to register Republican for the primary, because in some states, like mine, you have to be registered Republican in order to vote for Ron Paul. In other states, it's open. It doesn't matter. They're open primaries. But anyway, the guys are there at those meetings, handing out forms, getting people registered, educating them about the delegate process, and so forth. But when it comes down to it, all those people just stay home. Do you believe that? Do you believe that for a second? Okay, further, using our critical thinking skills in mathematics, we find that consistently in the delegate process now, we have, sometimes 75% of the delegates are going to Ron Paul. 75% of the people that show up to vote for the delegates are going for Ron Paul. Oh, and they can't steal those votes as easily as they can with their Easy Hack 100 voting machines. Right? And that's another thing. You want to change this country, we've got to get back to paper ballots. Paper ballots and hand counts, where you used to be a part of the process, and now we've got foreign countries counting our votes for us. All right, Stalin is just laughing at us because it doesn't matter who votes, it's who counts the votes. But see what happens with the delegate process, and see our founding fathers, this is the genius of our founding fathers. They understood many of the things that are going on right now. Right? This is not new stuff. This politics and tyranny. This is not new. This is the way it's been done for thousands and thousands of years, and people are figuring out in the United States in our 230 odd year history that we have been corrupted, we've been co-opted, and the mainstream media is in cahoots. They are right along with them. They can't say election fraud, they can't say vote fraud. They try to tell you that everything is okay. That's their story, and that when people go down there and vote and they get their votes stolen, and then they show up in droves to become delegates, that there's some kind of disconnect there, that it's a shocker, that it's right. Well, it's not a shocker, because what's happening is that thousands of people are showing up for Ron Paul at these rallies. They're showing up for Ron Paul in droves to go vote for him. They're getting their votes stolen, but then they still show up to be delegates, right, in proportion. If Romney had the numbers that they say he had, then the people that showed up for Romney would be in larger number. So what you're saying is that the Ron Paul people are so unsophisticated and so new to the process that when they overwhelm the delegate flood, they just basically flood the delegate process, that somehow this is an anomaly, and that somehow Romney people who are the actual majority are not showing up for Romney, that they're being outnumbered by the fervent Ron Paul supporters. No, they're being outnumbered by the Ron Paul supporters because Ron Paul supporters outnumber the Romney supporters, period. Right? Whether it's delegates, whether it's the vote, but see, they can't steal the delegates. This is what I've been saying. This is what Ron Paul understands. This is what's been going on. We've got more than 5 states. We have majorities in some states. We have plurality in other states. I mean, it's amazing what's going on. And people, even in the Ron Paul camp, are still writing letters that are saying things like they're astonished and it's amazing, and he couldn't even win. It's not a shocker. Louisiana wasn't a shocker. The strategy worked. The same thing in Massachusetts. The lieutenant governor under Romney couldn't become a delegate because they were overwhelmed by the Ron Paul people in his own state of Massachusetts. Does this tell you anything? Okay, what it tells me is that in Massachusetts, they rigged the vote again, and then when it came time for the delegates to show up, the people that got their vote stolen showed up to become delegates. And there's nothing they can do about it when it comes down to the delegate process. Because Ron Paul has the majority of people. I'm telling you, he's the most... Getting rid of the TSA, getting rid of the FDA, getting rid of the EPA, balancing the budget, getting back to sound monetary policy, getting rid of the drug war, ending the drug war. Just that one issue. But never mind, that would be enough for a lot of people. But then it's ending the wars in Iran, and this is not isolationist. This is non-interventionist. Right there, I saw a great one where they show Switzerland and they showed North Korea. North Korea being the isolationist and Switzerland being the non-interventionalist. Right? Right? You see the difference there? It's just great because people are starting to figure out that the media tries to control the dialogue. They try to control even the words you use. And what's going on now is people are waking up in droves and they're coming out for Ron Paul in droves because he's popular. The issues are popular. Peace is popular. Liberty is popular. Sound money. Ron Paul people understand sound money more and more, and they educate others on how they're getting screwed by the Federal Reserve. And that of course they want to keep it quiet, because even Howard Stern was admitting that he'd never really heard of Ron Paul, didn't know much about Ron Paul, and then when he heard Ron Paul speak, he agreed with everything Ron Paul had to say. When it came to the FCC, when it comes to whatever issue it is, Ron Paul is on the side of the people. And then we have these statist whores that try to make it sound like Obama and Romney are actually, what we need, and they're going to protect us, and this is no. See, and people understand, no, war is not, war is dangerous. Peace is not dangerous. And I have conversations like this all the time. And another conversation I just called another person, they're like, oh, I don't have $100 to give Ron Paul. I'm like, don't give $100, just give $5. Just give $5, and then here's what you need to do: call 5 other people and tell them to give $5, and then make sure you spread the message that just give $5 and you give $5 too, because and this guy was embarrassed that he didn't have $100 to give. Well, because he gave $100 last time, but now times are tough and he can't spare the $100. Well, give $5, just give $5. Don't just do nothing. Give $5. Don't be powerless. Don't get them think that you're to get them into you in the mode or the thinking mode that you're powerless and there's nothing you can do. $5, across 100,000 people is a lot of money, right? So the idea is just $5, and then you tell 5 people, and they tell 5 people, and they tell 5 people. Do some geometric progression. Once again, it's mathematics, right? Krugman Ramon's House of Math. And then again, this whole thing with Fukushima. I'll have a link down there to nuclear hubris. As much as you make noise for Ron Paul, you need to make noise to get this insanity we call nuclear energy stopped. It's over. It's done. The Japanese people... Anyway, stick with Ron Paul. Back on track. Okay, so the idea is Ron Paul has the support of the masses. Why? Because all of his positions are wildly popular with Americans. And they're wildly popular with the immigrants, too. The immigrants that have to pass a test to become Americans, and they have to study the Constitution, those guys are for Ron Paul. They're not for Obama because of his color, and they're not for... Right? And then this is the other thing that needs to be made clear, is Romney doesn't have the majority support for a lot of reasons. One, he's a robber baron. Two, they picked this guy out. And then it turns out that the guy they picked, they didn't vet him well enough because... And there's reasons for why it's Romney, but not just because he's a handsome, good-looking guy and so forth, but he had the right connections. The bankers love him. Okay, but he's a Mormon, And out of all the reasons not to be voting for Romney, to me, that's the worst one. But you need to understand a few things about the United States, and I have traveled these United States. I've been to 49 of 50. The only state I haven't been to is Alaska. Spent quite a bit of time in the United States. Spent a lot of time in Utah, actually, and that area of the western United States, but also in the east, and also in the Bible Belt down south, and so forth. And the one thing I know is that universally, the Christians have a thing against Mormons. Right? That persecution hasn't come to an end, even though it's 2012. They still have a prejudice against Mormons. They don't like the evangelicals, and the on and on. They have a thing against, and Romney's a Mormon. Now this is the worst like I said, the worst reason not to vote for Romney. I mean, when it comes to the war, when it comes to the drug war, when it comes to sound monetary policy, when it comes to the fact that he's in the hip pocket of the bankers, those are reasons not to vote for Romney. His imaginary friend and what his personal beliefs, that's not the reason. The same thing with Ron Paul. Ron Paul and I don't agree on the religion or abortion and so forth, but it ends there. And I don't care that Ron Paul's a Christian. Why would it matter? Right? And what I've seen is that he's the old-fashioned, principled Christian. Remember when Christians used to be known for their good works? Now they're pretty much known for just telling you what you can't do. You can't get married. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't smoke pot. You can't. You can't. That's what Christians are known for now, in my mind. They're not known for their good works anymore, and people are tired of them. But Ron Paul, he talks about the Christian ethic when it comes to war, right? We won't attack you unless you attack us. But God help you if you attack us, right? I'm not a peacenik in the United States, but we haven't had a credible threat for generations. Right? But if you would actually come bomb us on American soil, and or you're a nation like the Russians or the Chinese or something that would come out and want to fight with the United States, you got a fight on your hands, right? But that's not the case. This whole war on terror looks like it's a made-up war to many people. Many people are taking a look at and seeing that a lot of this war is scare tactics, and it's the old tyranny that old concept of using an outside enemy to try to unite the dogs against the wolf. Right? But it turns out there is no wolf. And then we've got, trying to end the Afghanistan conflict. Right? Nations for thousands of years have regretted going to war in Afghanistan, and the people in Afghanistan have been kicking ass for time immemorial. The last person to hold Afghanistan was Alexander the Great. Everybody else has rued the day that they went in there. So now what are we doing? Right? We've been tricked into going and spending our blood and treasure in Afghanistan. And now they're talking about staying in there till 2024. Are you kidding me? Now, we've got a guy that wants to end this. And ending the war is popular. It is popular with Americans. We've had enough. We've been at war for too long. We've lost too many sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, moms and dads. And the ones that we haven't lost have come back maimed. They've come back with, post-traumatic stress disorder. Don't tell me that if they've been in combat, ask any combat veteran, combat changes a man. Killing a man changes a man. Don't make any mistake, right? They'll never be the same. And we've had enough. We've had enough of the drug war. We've had enough of the ridiculous fiscal policies that are making our money no good, right? And I can't say it enough times. The money, mathematically, it's impossible that we get out of this situation happy. Right? It's going to end very, very badly. All right, Ron Paul understands this and how to avoid this and how to, hopefully we'd have, did you see what happened when he debated Krugman? He just blew that guy out of the water. Right? The guy just had no answers for some of the things that he had to say. These Federal Reserve apologists trying to make it sound like, that they bring stability. The Federal Reserve note is worth not even 95, right? Not even 3%. It's gone down in value more than 95% since 1913. Right? That's not stability. That's a failed currency. That's a currency that is going to zero, and we are at that point where we are heading for the end of that exponential curve, where we're starting to see that every year, more and more dollars are printed to try and keep this Ponzi scheme going, and that means every one of your dollars is worth less. Ron Paul understands this, and he can explain it clearly and concisely. Doesn't need a teleprompter, right? Again, the only reason why you guys think Obama is cool and intelligent is because you're comparing him to George Bush. But that man is nothing without his teleprompter. On the other hand, Ron Paul can give an hour-long speech and basically just look at a few cue cards because he knows what he's talking about. Okay, you guys need to get out there and do a much better job at exposing Ron Paul to the masses. get it on your Facebook page, get it out there, show people and embarrass the mainstream media and their bullshit story about how this man is unelectable. The 10-term congressman from Texas, who they've tried to keep out of Congress and gerrymander and so forth, is unelectable. Whatever. Vote Ron Paul. Do whatever you can. $5 is enough. Just get out there and do it. Ron Paul, 2012.